Life before Battelle. Before I came to Battelle, my life was literally, what can you say, it was a living hell. I started using drugs when I was 11. There was drugs always in the house. My dad was a burglar, not just a burglar, he cut safes open, he was a criminal. There was always drugs around the house, there was always spliffs being rolled, there was always speed and cocaine being taken, so slowly I sort of drifted into it. And as you take cocaine and smoke, you know, as you smoke dope, one thing leads to another. By the time I was 14, I was taking coke, I'd tried heroin, I'd tried acid, I'd tried all kinds of things. I used to take my mum's sleeping tablets. By the time I was 16, 17, I'd spent my first stints inside juvenile detention halls. Ended up, I wouldn't be a good boy in prison, so they ended up sending me down to Dartmoor, which is down by Plymouth on the moors. And I spent most of the majority of my sentence there. I got out of there in 1998. Still had a heroin habit, I'd been taking heroin the complete sentence, so I got out of there looking rather worse than when I went in. Came out, and because I didn't know any better, I went straight back to Leeds, and it was straight back into the same old thing. I was picked up at the bus station by Veronica and a couple of other guys, and I came, and I was in a state. I weighed 9 stone 6 or 9 stone 10, I had long hair, I was in a complete mess. There was lots of guys around, all working on the grounds. Back then, Battelle was very small in England, there was only like 14 guys here. And they'd just come back from Grapevine, so all these guys were all really on fire telling me about Jesus and telling me about that, but I was completely out of my mind, and I actually thought they were in a bit of a worse state than I was, you know. I was delirious, but they were completely demented. And they began anyway, they loved to show me when I came. I knew there was something there, they had something that I wanted. But here probably was the worst cold turkey I've ever been through in my entire life. I spent 2 weeks awake. 2 weeks of watching the sun go up. I always describe it, watching the sun go up and watching the sun go down. Every single part of my body was hurting, and all the guys used to take it in a rota, because there weren't that many guys here. They'd take it in a rota and they'd sit up an hour every night. And they'd sit and they'd tell me about Jesus, you know, they'd tell me about how Jesus had been changing their lives. And at first I didn't really take any notice of them. I was just there, I was in pain, I was bothered about what I was going through and not about what they were saying. I appreciated the fact that they were there, that every time I was sick on the floor they cleaned it up. You know, that when I wanted a cup of tea they'd go and do it for me. You know, that when I couldn't get to the toilet because my legs wouldn't work properly, they'd help me get there. I appreciated all that, but the Jesus thing, because I wasn't in a right state of mind at the time. And I prayed, the first time, you know, Lord, if you're there, if you're real Jesus, and you've actually changed these guys, then you need to change me, because I can't change myself. I've tried and it don't work, and I really need some sleep, by the way. And that night I slept on the living room floor for the first time. And life now is great. 5.5 years down the line, I've been married for nearly 3 years. I have 2 lovely sons. Raphael's 10, Aaron's 11 months old. My wife, 11 months old, my wife Paula. She's a beautiful woman from Portugal. She came to start the girls' house, and that's how we met. The Lord brought us together. And now, life now is Battelle and Jesus.